Sí, Manny. ¿Cómo? No entiendo. Oh, okay. Well, y sí. Ah, ok, pero van a llegar hoy todavía. Ok, ahora perfecto. Ok, perfecto. Muchísimas gracias, ¿eh? Gracias. Oh, okay. Can you go on Tuesday? Okay, all right. Estamos. Gracias. Hi, Alan.
Morning. Did Ernie, did he have surgery or what happened?
Ernie?
Yeah.
He had some surgery where he cannot sit well. So I didn't ask him, but I assume it was when you have meridian, what do you call it?
Hemorrhoids?
No,
Or whatever.
you get in tuches, whatever you call it.
Hemorrhoids.
That's it. I think so. I didn't want to ask.
I don't want to
So,
ask either. As long as he's
But
feeling better.
by the way he's sitting
Yeah,
and
no.
being uncomfortable, I can
Very
tell it's something in that area.
Right. Very comfortable. Yeah. Well, I wish you a full shlema. Yeah, he's a trooper, given all the sure when he's not well, when he's not feeling well.
Yeah, and that's not if that's
Amazing.
what it is, it's not a very pleasant surgery.
Right, I know. Yeah. The recovery is also not easy either, go through a lot of pain.
It takes a while, and he went back to work the next day, so.
Oh my goodness, yeah. All right. Well, all right. Good. Yeah. What's the weather supposed to be this week? It's supposed to rain, more rain coming?
A couple of days.
Okay.
I think I can tell you. It's gonna rain on tomorrow. Let's see, tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Alan, are you still working?
Yeah. Yeah. Every day.
Yeah?
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good. It's
Yeah.
very good.
I know, every
Morning,
day.
Ernie.
Good morning.
How you feel?
Okay.
Good. Good.
Every day. Yeah.
Yudalid. Megillah Yudalid 14. Moshel d'Achashverosh v'Haman l'mad davar doimeh. Because Achashverosh said, you can do what you want with the Jewish people, and you don't have to give me the money. You want to give me money, you don't have to give me the money. One had a mound of dirt in his field. Is the neighbor had a ditch in his field. Baal Chritz Amar, the owner of the ditch, said, "Mi tenli tel zebedamim. I'll buy your mound of dirt because it'll level my field. I can plow better." Balatel Amar mi tenli chorid zebedamim. The owner of the mound said, "Well, I will pay money to put my mound of dirt into a ditch, because that'll level my field." Liyomim nizdav guzeit zolzeh. The two met. Omer bal chritz balatel. The owner of the ditch said to the owner of the mound, "Mechor li tilcha, sell me your mound." Omer lo tolata b'chinam, take it for free. Alavai, you should take it for free. So really, Achashverosh also wanted to kill the Jews. He didn't have anybody to do it. Now, when he found Haman, he was happy, and therefore he didn't demand any payment. Bayosra Melech's Tabato. So Achashverosh took off his ring, to seal, signet ring, to put the sign on the document. The removal of the ring by Achashverosh, which sealed the verdict against the Jewish people, was a greater musar than all the 48 Nevi'im and 7 Nevi'ot that gave musar to Klal Yisrael. Shekulon lo achzir l'mutav. All the various prophecies did not cause Klal Yisrael to do tshuva. V'ilo asar satabas achziran l'mutav. But they did a big tshuva at the time of Achashverosh. They made Tzom v'chiu misped, Sakva Efer, Yutzal Rabin. That had never happened before. Tnan awesome. Arboim u'shmona neviim v'sheva nevios nisnabel on Israel. Klal Yisrael had 48 neviim and 7 prophetesses that were written down, meaning there were many more neviim, but these were the neviim that were written and put in Sifrei Tanakh. None of the Nevi'im added any mitzvah. Chutz Mikra Megillah. Rashi says, what about Ner Chanukah? Kvar Paskon, if there were no Nevi'im at the time of Chanukah. But in the time of Mordechai, Chagai, Zachar, Malachi were still alive. So the mitzvah of Mikra Megillah was added. My Darush, Amrav Chia Barav Amrav Yeshua ben Korchel Mame Avdus Lecheres Ramin and Shira. When we went out of Mitzrayim, we said Shira from Avdus Lecherus. Mimisa Lechaim Lekol Shekain. Here we were. It was decreed that we should all be killed. We were all saved for life. It's a kavachoyber that we should say Hallel. Yihachi Hallel Nami Nema. So the Mikra Megillah is Shira. Why wouldn't we say regular Hallel? We don't say Hallel on a nes that occurs outside of Eretz Yisrael. How do we say Hallel for Pesach? Yitzis Mitzrayim was also Chutz La'aretz. Until Klal Yisrael went into Eretz Canaan, you could say Hallel no matter what, wherever the nes occurred. Once Klal Yisrael went to Eretz Canaan, then we don't say Hallel anymore for Nisim that occurs outside of Eretz Yisrael. Rav Nachman gives a different answer. You know what? We do say Hallel. Rav Nachman Amar Kriyasa Zu Alila. The reading of the Megillah is the Hallel. Rava Amar Bishma Hasam Hallel Avdei Hashem Avdei Paro. By Yitzis Mitzrayim, we can praise that we are now servants of Hashem and not the servants of Paro. Elohacha, Hallelu Avdei Hashem Avdei Achashverosh. Akati Avdei Achashverosh. Even after the Nes of Purim, we remain the servants of Achashverosh. We didn't go completely lecherus, so therefore there is no Hallel. So Bein L'Rav Nachman Kasha, but according to either of them, I thought either way, there's no Hallel for Nisim that occur outside of Yisrael. Kivan Shagalu Chazu Lachshen Arishon. Once Klal Yisrael was in Galus, you could say Hallel for Nisim that occurred in other countries. Now, the Gemara says, V'su Leka? What, there's only 48 Nevi'im? There's a lot more of Aksiv. Vahi ish echad min harasayim tzofim. There was a Navi, one person from a Ramah, echad min harasayim tzofim shnisna b'lam Yisrael. He's one out of 200 of Nevi'im. This is referring to Elkanah, the father of Shmuel. Mi avatuv ave. and a Chanami. There were many more Nevi'im than 48. Kiditanya, Harbe Nevi'im Amdu Lam Yisrael Kiflaim Ki Yotzei Mitzrayim. There were double the amount of people that left Mitzrayim, 1.2 million. That's how many Nevi'im we had. El Nevuah Shehutzrach L'Doros Nichtava. Prophecy that was important for future generations to know about was written down. V'Shalol Shecholo Nichtava. Nevuah that was not needed for later generations was not written. Rashmod Achmeni Omar Adam Haba Mishtei Ramois Shetzoifas Zu at Zu. Elkanah was a person who came from two peaks that looked at each other. Referring to Shmuel HaNavi, this is a person who came from people who stood at the top of the world. There was a special place in Gehenna because Korach and all of his family was swallowed up by the ground. But the Bnei Korach had a special place. Berumo Shel Olam. It's a high place in Gehenna, and that's where they are. And Shmuel was descended from them. Sheva Nevios Mai Ninu. Who are the Sheva Nevios? Sarah, Miriam, Dvorah, Chana, Avigail, Chulda, Esther. Sarah, Dichsiv, Avi Milka, Va'avi Yiska. Rav Yitzchak Yiska zu Sarah, Lamani Kra Yiska, Shesacha Brucha Kodesh. She was sort of clothed, or she was able to see Baruch HaKodesh. Shenamar, Avram himself was told, Kol asher tomar elecha Sarah shma b'kola. Whatever Sarah tells you, you should listen to her. Davar acher, yizka shakol soichin biyofia. Everybody looks at her beauty. Miriam, how do we see that Miriam was a Neviah? T'chsiv vatikach Miriam a Neviah achos Aharon. Now, why is she called Achos Aaron v'lo Achos Moshe? Amrav Nachman Rav. Shahaisa misnabe kishiachos Aaron. When Moshe was not born yet, Miriam was already telling prophecy. V'oimeres asida imi shetele ben sheoshias Yisrael. Miriam would say, my mother Yocheved is going to give birth to the Moshiach of Yisrael. When Moshe was born, the house was filled with light. So Amram, Miriam's father, kissed her on his head. I see that your nevuah was miskayim. Kivan shlishlichu layor. When eventually Moshe had to be put into the Yaor, Amad Aviyu Tfach al Rosha. Amram gave her a patch on the head. So what happened to your nevuah? Hainu dichsiv. That's why it says in the pasuk that we learned yesterday, Vatetatzav achoto merachok lidea. Miriam hid out among the bulrushes to see what's going to happen with Moshe's basket. Ladas ma'yeh b'sof nevuah, to see what's going to be at the end of the nevuah. Dvorah, dichsiv udvorah isha neviah, eshes lapidos. So it describes her as an isha neviah. My eshes lapidos, shaisa oisa psilos lamigdash. She would make the wicks for the various menorahs in the Beis Hamikdash. V'hi yosheves tachas toimer. She sat under a palm tree. Ma'ishna tachas toimer. Amar Shimon ben Avshalom mishum yichud. It created a separation between her and the men that came to ask her shilas. Davar acher. Ma tomer ze ein lo ela lev echad. A tamar only has one heart. Af Yisrael shabo sador lo yelem ela lev echad avim shabash shamayim. The Jews in the times of Torah also only had one heart devoted to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Chana, Dichsiv, Vatispalal Chana Vatomar, Alatz Libi B'Hashem, Rama Karni Ba. Rama Karni v'lo Rama Pachti. She refers to a horn and not a jug. David Shlomo. Shenimshechu b'keren. They were anointed with oil from a horn. Nimshecha malchuson. Their malchus persevered. Shol v'yehu. Shenimshechu b'pach. Lo nimshecha malchuson. And then Chana said, Ein kadosh ka'Hashem ki ein biltecha. Amar Yehuda bar Menashe, Al tikra biltecha ela levalosecha. Valosecha is like clothes getting worn down. Shelo k'midas HaKadosh Baruch Hu midas basar v'dam. The way of Hashem is not the human way. Midas basar v'dam masir of mevalanoso. That human being makes creations, and they exist even after the human being passes away. HaKadosh Baruch Hu mevala ma'aseh yadav. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu remains around forever. Vein sur Elokeinu, ain't sire Kelokeinu. There's no artist or architect like Hashem. Adam tzartzur al gabi hakoisel. Human being draws a picture on a wall. Ve'eno yachal latil baruch neshama krovayim v'nei meyayim. You can't instill in a picture life and intestines of HaKadosh Baruch Hu tzartzur b'toch tzura. He puts a fetus within another tzura. Umatil baruch neshama krovayim v'nei meyayim. So there's no greater tzayir than HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Avigail, tichsi v'hayahi rocheves al hachamor, v'yoredes b'seiser hahar. Avigail was the wife of Naval. We're about to learn about him in the Navi. And she came down riding on a chamor, b'seiser hahar. What do you mean b'seiser? Mina har meboiling. On Rav Shmuel, iskei dam abam in astorim. That means she asked a question about dam nida. Not la dam v'herasalo. She wanted David to paskin halacha regarding dam nida. Amar lo v'chimarin dam b'layla. Chachamim don't check the color of blood at night. Amar lo v'chidanin dinei nefashos b'layla. Because David HaMelech wanted to kill Naval because he didn't provide food for his men. And Abigail is the wife. So Abigail pointed out to David, you don't make a bezdin at night. Amar law, morid b'malchushu. I'm the king. Naval didn't listen to my orders. He's a morid b'malchus. You don't need bezdin. Melech can kill no matter what. Or melo adayin shol kai, but you're not the king. Shol is still melech. Your coin, it's not your time to rule. So you're not a melech who's recognized by everybody. And therefore you can't don somebody kemorid mamalchus. Amar la ubaruch tamech ubrucha ad asher klisari wazem mibod. He blessed her for staying his hand, for preventing him from being a murderer. And what's the damim? Damim is plural. Damim tarte mashme. El malamed shegilsa as shoika. Her thigh was revealed, so it inflamed him. David v'halach le'ura sholish par. He had to run around for 3 miles to cool himself down. Amar lashmi ili. So David says, "I want to live with you." And if she was a nida, it would have been a double sin. She's an Ish, and she's a dam nida. I'm not going to be the one that brings you down. Zos achrisi. Meaning there were other sins that potentially could bring him down. He got into a problem with Bathsheba, and that's what happened in the end. But Abigail knew that this was going to happen, so it shows that she was a nevuah. That in this attempt at Bia, you were not going to fall, but later on you will have another attempt. V'haisa nefesh adonit tzura b'tzura chayim. This is again Abigail talking about her husband. She owes the life of her husband to David. When Abigail left David, she said, remember me. Means eventually David HaMelech married Abigail after the death of Novel. So she hinted to him, keep me in mind. Meaning a woman and her language keeps the wall up. That means even though she profited here, she's also worrying about the future. She came to save her husband, but even so, she hinted to him that in the future, if the time is right, that he should remember her. And that's what happened. The goose puts his head down and goes, but he still looks with his eyes from far to see what's going on. And that's Abigail, who was planning her future marriage to David. Chulda Neviah. D'chsiv vayelech Hilkiah Kohen v'chikam ve'achbor. To Chulda Neviah and Melachim. Yoshia Melech sent them to her. So I don't understand. If Malcolm the Yirmiyah Misnabe'i, Yirmiyah Navi is alive. How could she be Misnabe? Or why would they go to her, not to Yirmiyah? She should not prophesy with Yirmiyah around. Amri Beirav Mishmei Rav Chulda Kroivas Yirmiyah Haisa. Chulda was a relative. Vlaba Makbid, and therefore he wasn't Makbid. The Yoshia Gufech Yishavik Yirmiyah Mishadel Gabo. So how did Yoshia Melech send the delegation to her and not to Yirmiyah? Amri Dvei Rab Shilom Ibnei Shanoshim Rachmani Yosei. Women have more mercy. And Yoshia Melech was hoping that maybe she would give a milder nevuah. Rav Yechidam Yirmiyah Lahava Hasam. Shalach Lazar Aser Sashvatim. Yirmiyah wasn't there at the time. He went to find a Sancheriv had taken the 10 tribes captive. He went to look for them. Umanolan de Ahadr. And he returned the 10 tribes. T'chsiv, ki amoicher lamim kar lo yashuv. Efshar yovel botel v'navi misnabe lav shei botel. If the Navi is going to say eventually the yovel is going to be botel. And you can only have yovel if all of Klal Yisrael is in Klal Yisrael. So el malamed she Yirmiyah echzira. So at that time, Yirmiyahu Navi was successful in bringing back the Aser Shvatim. The Yoshiyahu ben Amon malach aleim, and Yoshiyahu ruled over them. D'chsiv, vayomer ma'at Sion alaz asher ani ro'eh, vayomer elav anshei ha'ir hakever ish al ima asher bam Yehuda, vayikrat advrei ha'ele asher asita lemizbech Beitel. V'chima tivo shel Yoshiyahu lemizbech Beitel. What does Yoshua Melech have to do with the Mizbech and Beitel? Amalamet Yoshua Molach Aleim. Yoshua was the Melech of these 10 tribes that Yirmiyahu brought back. Rav Nachman Meyacha, Gam Yehuda Shas Kotzer Loch B'Shuvei Shvusami. That the nation came back Shvusami in Hosea. Esther was a Nevuah. D'chsiv Vayi Bayom HaShlishi Vatilbash Esther Malchut Bigdei Malchus Meboile. It shouldn't just say Malchus, it should say Bigdei Malchus. Ella Shalavashta Ruach HaKodesh. She put on Ruach HaKodesh. Ksivacha Vatilbash Ksivasam Ruach Lavshas Amashai. Over there, Amashai also had Ruach HaKodesh. Here also, the Malchus means Ruach HaKodesh. Amrav Dachan Lo Ya Yihi Rosul Enoshi. Haughtiness is not roy for women. Tarti Noshi Yehir and Avin, there were 2 women that were haughty, Visanyan and Shemayu, and therefore their names are hated. Chadashma Ziburta, Ziburta is a wasp, but it's a nickname for Devora. V'chadashma karkushta. The other one is Chulda. Now, how do you see that they were haughty? Ziburta ksiv bevatishlach vatikra levorak. She sent for Barak, and that's vilu iu lo azlak, but she should have gone to him, not him coming to her. Karkushta ksiv ba imru la'ish, v'lo amra imru lamelach. Chulda should have said imru lamelach, not imru la'ish. Amrav Nachman Chulda bnei banav shel Yoshua haisa. Chulda was a descendant of Yoshua. Ksivacha ben Charchas. It says in Pasuk, Chulda Navia Eshes Shalem ben Tikva ben Charchas. And then it says, Uksivasim, Yoshua was buried betimnas cheres. So there's a kesher between them. Eitzvei Ravena Savel Rav Nachman, Shmona Neviim Vehem Kohanim Yatsu Merachav Azona. 8 prophets, and they were Kohanim as well, came out of Rachav Azona. The Elohim. There was Baruch ben Neriah, so you have Neriah, Baruch, Usraya, Machseya, Yirmiyah, Chilkiah, Chanamel, Vishalum. And Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Av Chulda Neviim ibnei banav shel Rachav Azona haisa. Chulda also came out of Rachav Azona. Ksiv hacha ben Tikva. By Chulda, she's called ben Tikva. Ksiv hasem is Tikvat Chut Hashani, right? The simon, she had to throw out a red thread in front of her house as a simon that when Klai Yisrael come to destroy Yericho, they leave her house alone. So Tikva is a connection between Chulda and Rachav. Omer lei eina saba. The eyes of my grandfather. Amilo pasya uchma. It's like a black pot. Mini uminach tistayim shmaitza. The igaira unaspa Yoshua. From here, you're going to learn that Rachav Hazona converted and married Yoshua. And therefore, Chulda was from the Zara of Yoshua. So the Gemara says, I don't understand. Yoshua Ksiv Nun Beno Yoshua Beno. Yoshua ben Nun means there was no, in Divrei Yomim, when they count the generations, there's no one counted after Yoshua ben Nun. Mashma, they didn't have children. More answers, Bani lo avale, Bonson avale. He didn't have sons, but daughters he had. Okay.
Go ahead.